Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Pittsylvania County Planning Commission meeting, December the 3rd, 2019. Roll call, Ms. Meese,
Present.
Ms. Henderson,
Present.
Mr. Horn,
Present.
Dr. Miller,
Present.
Mr. Stowe,
Present.
Mr. Haymore,
Present.
Mr. Dudley,
Present.
and myself. Let the record show it's 8 present, 0 absent. Will everyone please rise for a moment of silence and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Thank you. All citizens of the United States of America will join me in pledging allegiance to the flag of our country.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ms. Hayes, everybody signed up on the books?
No, we have no one in opposition
On
for the
any
cases or
cases?
the hearing of the citizens.
Okay. No one has signed up to speak to the board. Has anybody come in late that did not have the opportunity or wish to? If not, we'll move on. Approval of the agenda.
Chairman, I so move.
Second it.
Motion by Mr. Haymore, second by Mr. Stowe to approve the agenda. All in favor, raise your right hand. Passed 8-4-0 against. Approval of the minutes, November the 7th, 2019.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Stowe, second by Mr. Dudley. The minutes be approved as presented in the package. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Yes.
Motion's passed 8-4-0 against. Ms. Henderson, want to certainly welcome you for being reappointed for another 4 years. It's certainly been honored to serve with you this time and glad to have you. And I know the other commissioners join me in that.
Thank you.
Mr. Dudley, I understand this may be your last one, but if the supervisors might reappoint you back,
Okay.
we'll be glad to have you. But this will be Mr. Dudley's last one as a member of the planning commission. But since he'll be going with the supervisors, he might be reappointed as a doing, but certainly won't.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Dr. Miller,
Yes, sir.
I understand you said this will probably be your last meeting with the planning committee representing the board of supervisors. And we're going, as we said before, I've been with the Miller's family ever since I've been on the board, your father and you, and we're gonna miss you. And welcome for what excellent job you have done.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Sides, I've heard through the grapevine that this is gonna be your last meeting. Is that you're gonna start counting and just have them mail your check at home and you're gonna enjoy the retirement?
Exactly right. Yes,
Well, I know you're gonna enjoy it. Thank you for the service you've done and welcome the way you have always backed the commissioners up and stood up for us, and we thank you for that.
well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And-
I sure appreciate that.
Hope you'll certainly enjoy years, many years to come. And I know not to come to White Oak Mountain because you will be standing up out, get back over the tight stuff.
My territory.
Also, this week I received a notice from the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission that Mountain Valley Pipeline Southgate project, they have supposed to have had a deadline of December the 19th, 2019 for schedule of their environment review, and they have asked to change the dates because what it includes is the changing of the rights, route, and data. And the new notice will be February the 14th, 2020, with the deadline being May the 14th, 2020. Did you receive anything on that, Mr. Sides? Or?
Yes, sir. I
Is that correct with what I
That is
gave
correct.
on that? So if anybody's interested in the Mountain Valley and the Southgate project, the dates has been changed. I believe that's all I have on that. Ladies and gentlemen, pursuant to Article 5, Division 7 of the Pittsylvania County zoning ordinance, we, the Planning Commission, have been empowered to hear and decide specific applications in support of said ordinance and to make recommendations to the Board of Supervisors or the Board of Zoning Appeals. In accomplishing this important task, we are charged with promoting the health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Pittsylvania County. We must ensure that all our decisions and recommendations be directed to these goals and that each be consistent with the environment, the comprehensive plan, and the best interests of Pennsylvania County, its citizens, and its posterity. Anyone here to speak to the board regarding zoning cases will be limited to 3 minutes. At 7:06, case R 19-033 is open to public hearing. Ms. Hayes.
Case R 19-033, Brenda Reagan and Mark Stevens have petitioned to rezone .028 of an acre from R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to A1 Agricultural District and a .062 of an acre from A1 Agricultural District to R1 Residential Suburban Subdivision District to combine with the adjacent parcels. They're just swapping property lines, some property. The parcels are located on Old Richmond Road in the Dan River Election District. Once the properties are rezoned to A1 and R1, all uses listed under sections 35-178 and 35-222 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Brandy Reagan and Mark Stevens are here to represent the petition.
Ms. Reagan and Mr. Stevens, will y'all come forward, please? Welcome and good evening. Do y'all have anything y'all like to present to the commissioners other than what Ms. Hayes has already presented to us? Any questions for them? No one has signed up to speak to it, so thank y'all for coming. And at 7:07, this public hearing on case R 19-033 is closed. Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke with the applicants on the telephone, and it's very obvious that we look at the map and see what they're doing, and there's been no opposition to it. So in case R 19-033, I make a motion that we send on to the Board of Supervisors as a request to rezone these properties.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Dudley, recommend to the Board of Supervisors the zoning request be changed. Any questions? If not, Ms. Hayes, will you call the roll for vote?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
It's 8.
Case R 19-033 by vote of 8-4-0 against, recommend to the Board of Supervisors the zoning be changed from R1 to A1 and A1 to R1. Thank y'all. At 7:08, case R 19-034 is open to public hearing. Ms. Hayes.
Case R 19-034, John and Mona Lewis have petitioned to rezone .32 of an acre located on Tom Fork Road in the Dan River Election District from B2 Business District General to RC1 Residential Combined Subdivision District to allow placement of a single-wide mobile home. Once the property is rezoned to RC1, all uses listed under section 35-267 are permitted. The staff summary is enclosed in the board packet. Mr. Chairman, Danny Lewis is here to represent the petition.
Mr. Lewis, will you come forward? Welcome and good evening.
Thank you, good evening.
Do you have anything you'd like to present to the commissioners other than what Ms. Hayes has already presented to us? Does anyone here wish to speak that did not have opportunity to sign up? There's no one signed up. Thank you, sir. At 7:09, case R 19-034 is closed to public hearing. Mr. Horn.
Mr. Chairman, I spoke with John Lewis on the telephone, and I'm very familiar with the property. This property's directly across the road from Ringo Fire Station 23. There is already a lot there owned by Mr. Lewis that a mobile home is on, and it's also surrounded by mobile homes, as also Gibson's Trailer Park backs up to this property. So have had no one to call in opposition. In case R-19034, I recommend or make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Supervisors that this be granted.
I second, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Horn, second by Mr. Haymore. Recommend to the Board of Supervisors zoning be changed. Any questions? If not, Ms. Hayes, will you call the roll?
Mr. Motley?
Yes.
Mr. Dudley?
Yes.
Mr. Stowe?
Yes.
Ms. Meese?
Yes.
Ms. Henderson?
Yes.
Mr. Haymore?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Dr. Miller?
Yes.
Case R-19-034 by a vote of 8-4, 0 against. Recommend the Board of Supervisors change the zoning from B2 to RC1. That concludes the public hearing cases. We go to the old business. Any old business? If not, new business, we have starting off with conservation easement, Ms. Hayes or Ms. Sides. Which one of y'all?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'll just start off, I guess, just to bring you up to date, I guess, that over the years, we've done quite a few of these requests to place land in conservation easements throughout the county. And typically, it involves a conservancy or some kind of land organization or foundation that manages the project. And we got Megan Kupka with us tonight from the Blue Ridge Land Conservancy. And what we're looking for from you all is there's typically a requirement that that you check with the locality to make sure that the conservation easement is consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. And where that comes into play with us, you've gotten a couple of handouts tonight of where these projects fall in the county. And our comprehensive plan does say things like we want to preserve natural views, natural landscapes, natural resources, the land, water, and things like that. We would not want to do a conservation easement in the middle of an industrial park where you've got high-value land that is a part of the easement. You know, basically you're giving, or the property owner is giving up some development rights to keep it in that natural state. So there's certain areas that make sense and certain areas that it doesn't make sense. And I'll talk a little bit maybe about the specific locations after Ms. Kupka gives us an overview of each particular project. So it's a good time if you can talk a little bit about what's proposed in these cases.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. I know I drove an hour and a half to come down here, so you better feel pretty special, right? Should I start off with one? Should I just pick one and start talking?
In order, the first one in their packet is the REW land and RLP investment.
Okay.
That's yours, Mr. Dudley. That's yours, and in that Stanton River district.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in the Hurt area.
Okay, yeah.
It's
Okay.
right there in the Reed Creek, right?
That's
bottom of
correct. Yes,
Jayberry
sir.
Hill,
Yes,
going
sir.
back up the creek.
It
bottom.
is. I'm sorry.
All right, so this first one is in Hurt. It's owned by Mr. Ronnie Pembleton. It is, let me look at my cheat sheet here. It's almost 220 acres. It's been in timber for the past several years, and he recently just timbered it. He would like, let's see here, the ability to have 4 homes on the property. Let's see, and 1 division, so 2 parcels perhaps in the future. So those are the rights he would like to retain with the property. Otherwise, that would be the limit of development on the property.
So the property owner realizes that in return for this easement, they're giving up the right to intentionally develop the property or to do any kind of industrial or commercial type use on it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How many acres in each tract is he talking about? Do you know?
Let me look at my map here. Typically, when we do an easement, we don't treat every tax parcel differently. We kind of all lump it into one parcel under the easement. It's not gonna change any of the tax parcel numbers or anything, but from my perspective, I just treat it as one piece of land. Does that answer your question?
In a way, yeah. This is the first time I've ever heard, I mean, I've seen I was going to say a ton, and that's not a very good statement. I've seen quite a few of these easements recorded when I was clerk of court, so that's why that I'm familiar. And I've never seen where that they, had it set up to do anything other than to be natural from day one to now to perpetuity. So I just wondered about, I was interested in the fact that they were asking for it to be in two different tracks, or two different.
Because the property is so large, even if he did divide it once into two separate parcels, you're probably left with about 100-acre parcels each there, which would still be open land. It would still be farmable. It's just it's a limit on how intensively you can develop that property.
And we have seen it a few times before. Typically, if it's a family property and they say, well, we want to protect it, but we also want the family to be able to live there, maybe my son come home or something like that. So that's why they often have a residential element, but very restricted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and A1 would only allow 2 dwellings on a tract, so he wants 4. So that's why the tract would have to be divided for 2 and 2.
Okay, now you're clearing it.
That's your question.
Yes, sir, that's my question. Thank you. I knew something had to. Thank you, Carol.
Any other question for?
What I'll call your attention to is what I handed out tonight. We weren't able to get it in the packet, but this is the one that's closer to the Hurt area. So you see the green circle there, that's highlighting the particular property that's in question. And usually what we're looking at in our future land use map, whether it's consistent with the comprehensive plan, is it in a rural agricultural type area? Well, you'll note in the yellow that's highlighted, this particular case, it's not in a rural natural area. It's considered medium to high density residential in our comprehensive plan. But what we did in the comprehensive plan was we just looked at the towns and kind of the growth nodes of where the area is a little bit more densely developed. So while the northern part of the county around Hurt falls in that category, the attachment or the drawing that's in your actual board packet shows that this particular piece of property is kind of the backwards type lot from the street development. In other words, you got a road going this way and a road going this way with residential development, but there's no development in this large, almost 220-acre tract. And it appears there's a stream going through there too. So it is, even though it is in a general area that's seen as having residential potential, this piece of property between streets and with the lowland area is not suitable for a residential development. So that's why you may still approve this one, even though it's not in an absolutely rural area.
Am I correct, Mr. Dilley, you talking Mr. Side, that the topography of the land, it's a real hillside all the way up through that whole valley, going on back, going south from the Grit Road. I call it the Grit Road. I think it's the Ricky Van Shelton, I
That's
believe
right.
is the correct name of it. But the Reed Creek comes down all the way through there.
That's
Is
right,
that
it
Mr.
does.
Dudley?
Yes, sir.
That it's on both sides.
Dumps right into Stanton
You're
River.
exactly right. If the property were located on Grit Road or Clover Road or somewhere else, it may not be suitable. But since it is the undevelopable property behind there, it's qualified.
Right.
It seems to qualify.
I think that's the reason this land's never been developed.
That's
because
right.
It's due to the topography of the layout of it. Can we do both cases at one time?
I think a motion at the end for both would be fine.
So if you wanna go on to the next one.
Okay. All right, so this next one is almost 700 acres. It is owned by Mr. and Mrs. Roger Brown. They started putting this farm together since 1979. They're both getting a little older. They only have 2 daughters, neither of which seems interested in farming, and that's their main motivation for wanting to keep this pretty much intact, these 700 acres, and for farming in the future. They only want 1 division, again, so 2 parcels, 1 for each daughter, right? And the possibility for 3 dwellings. 2 dwellings currently exist on the property. It does have Dry Branch and several smaller creeks running through the property. And currently, it's just being used for cattle and timber as well.
And there's a map in your packet that shows kind of a closer up view of the property, and then this handout that's placed at your desk shows the general location in the county where the dot is, and that's clearly in an undeveloped rural part of the county.
This is about 5 miles from Java. Isn't that right? Java Post Office, if I remember
That's correct.
correct, where that's at, going back. Does anybody remember, I think it goes back, it did join, I believe it's Mr. Davenport now on it, but it's Elliot McCormick's farm. I think it joined the McCormick's farm, off of Markham Road in that. And I believe that's right in it, Dr. Miller, 'cause this
Yes,
is
sir,
in
that
the
would-
Bannister-
that would be correct.
Bannister district. Any other questions for? So what you need is just a motion from the, planning commission that we, agree with being, put into conservation easement, is that correct?
Yeah, I would say to support the conservation easements, and that in the opinion of the planning commission, it's consistent with the county's comprehensive plan. And we've got probably in your agenda, the best references would be, the conservation easement for REW Land LLC and conservation easement for Suzanne Brown trustee would be an identifier.
You wanna make that motion?
I'll
Mr.
make the
Dudley?
motion that we approve this, and where's that reading at?
Ms. Henderson, you want a second, since it part in Stanton River, with the other leaves in Bannister?
Yes.
All right. Any questions? If not, all in favor of the motions, raise your right hand. Motion's passed 8-4-0 against. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Absolutely,
And
my
have a
pleasure.
safe trip back. And Merry Christmas.
Thank you, you too.
Any other new business?
Next month, we just have 1 case. It's a special use permit for a campground in the Tunstall district for Bart Lewis.
Must sides, enjoy it. Everybody have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you January the 7th, 2020. And remember, you got 7 excellent commissions. You need to elect a new chairman next year. Thank you. Meeting's adjourned, 7:23.
And